problem with...
Because he was getting a bit bored.
I hope I don't forget my question. I mean, you keep mentioning the notion of focusing on the fact that this is a movie, it's just a story, don't get involved. The thing that I can't get beyond is the emotional impact of it. Like if someone hurts me, you know, it's all very well for me to say, well, it's part of the story, they are consciousness acting as whomever hurting me, it's fine, it doesn't matter. But what about the onus of responsibility of the emotion that I feel? I just can't get beyond that.
You don't get beyond it. Feel it.
But then I spiral down that road.
Don't spiral down it.
But the point of this is to get beyond that, isn't
Yes,
it?
sir. There's no point of any of it. It's like some movies are just, you know, absolutely terrible. What's the point? They had some spare cash, there was a really bad script, and they made a movie. What's the point? Why does there have to be a point? It's the one experiencing it that wants to have a point. Even the downward spiral has to make sense. Why is there this downward spiral? Why isn't it upwards?
Sure. But it's not something you can control. You know.
So if you accept that, where's the problem?
You still feel it though.
Yes.
You can intellectually accept the fact that yes, it's out of my
I said you
control.
don't feel it.
So then
You
what's...
feel it more intensely sometimes.
Sure.
But if you totally accept that it's not just about you not being in control, the next stage of acceptance is, okay, who is in control? Or what is in control? If Angela's not in control, what is in control? Control is probably the wrong word. That's why I like the word author.
What difference does author make?
No, it sounds gentle. It sounds more poetic.
Okay, that's a...
Resonates more with Angela.
No, but I want to know why author? As
Because
opposed to...
the subtle definition as we talked about, we're deviating here a little bit, and this is your mind wanting to slip out when I asked you a direct thing. So I'll let you do it and I'll come back to it. Is that there is still a doer. Angela and Ragi are doing the talking and listening. We're doing the nodding of the head, we're doing the scratching of the head. The author is something that's making this doing happen.
But isn't that just a part of the story?
Yes. So the author is the one who's written the story, and then who pretends to become these separate actors who act out the story, including the chairs and the fish and the light bulbs.
Right. Okay.
But my point is, if you go to the spiral, and if you're feeling like you're descending the spiral, there's going to be a point where you're going to want to stop. That's what happens. We don't want to go all the way to the bottom.
Unless it's been authored that we do so?
But putting that aside, it's a normal reaction not to want to go to the bottom of the spiral. Because you imagine the worst. It becomes more uncomfortable, more painful.
Right.
So there's a mechanism that kicks in to stop us going to the bottom of the spiral.
Not
That's
always.
feelings, that's emotions, that's pain, that's all that.
Okay.
That's part of what's built in us. So recognize that whether we're going up or whether we're going down, there's still a something that's either wanting to go up or there's a something not wanting to go down. All I'm saying is, rather than looking at the spiral and how far you go down or up, look at what is wanting to go up or what is not wanting to go down.
So then it comes back to the author.
In your case, since you accept that you have no control, or partially accept it, it is. Because then, if you totally accept you have no control, you wouldn't fear the consequence of the spiral. You might fear the physical pain, which nobody apart from those other ones like. But psychologically, mentally, you would not have the fear of what happens on the downward spiral.
Yeah, but I still do. I mean, I can acknowledge.
You do because you haven't totally accepted that whatever's authoring you is what you are.
So are you talking about an intellectual acceptance or a full-on...
Intellectually, you might not have accepted it totally.
Okay.
So until that occurs, you can't have the so-called total acceptance, which is a notional acceptance in the heart. So it'll oscillate between what you feel is acceptance here, and what you feel is acceptance here. But until there's total acceptance here, this can't fully accept. It's being pulled always by the intellect. And that's what we call the split mind. Another way of looking at it is the split mind is the intellect, whole mind is the heart.
So it has to be accepted intellectually first, which is why the inquiry is done.
In the cases where the minds resonate with the teaching intellectually, yes.
All right.
But there's a parallel process where the heart is also resonating.
So is it always intellect first, then heart?
Not necessarily, no.
Okay.
Sometimes it's the other way around. Or sometimes one can't quite distinguish which one is happening, or they might be happening simultaneously. That's why the path of devotion, for example, the path of devotion is the path of the heart. Chanting, devotional acts, worshipping the deities is one of the paths. The path of devotion, bhakti. Bhakti is devotion. And then jnana, which is knowledge, is the other path. Now the bhakti and the jnani meet at a certain point. In you, the bhakti and the jnani will meet when they're ready. Irrespective of which one is leading at whichever moment, eventually these two will meet. And there's a merging, because then the intellect accepts, the heart accepts. The bhakti becomes the jnana becomes the bhakti. And then both cancel each other out. Because then there's no longer any need to know or to be devotional.
Right, because your sufferings ended.
No, because if you're devoting yourself, if you're worshipping something, you recognize it as yourself.
Does that always happen?
Yes. In the final stage, the so-called final stage of the merging of jnana and bhakti, if your mind knows intellectually you are everything, simultaneous with nothing, and whatever you're worshipping, at a certain point you're going to see what I'm worshipping is also then logically me.
So that's authentic worship and not just the motions that people go through generally.
Well, no, then worship falls by the wayside, because then what is there to worship? I'm worshipping myself. But there still can be worship happening.
It sounds very narcissistic, I'm worshipping myself.
That's right, so it doesn't happen as a thought. It just means that the act of worshipping stops in some cases.